Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Vijay and we are learning Python in our Python Mastery series. So, in the previous video, we learned about the return statement and we learned how we can have the values returned back to the user and user can store it and reuse that values further in the program for other functions or any like displaying of that output. Okay. So now let's say till now we are implementing the functions with an example of code cafe. If I take particularly for one order we have one price, one quantity, but it can happen that we won't be having one order in the real life. There can be 3 orders a day, there can be 10 orders a day. So the number of argument are not fixed. Also let's say somebody is not providing any value. Let's say a guest is arriving and they are not providing their name. So in a welcome function, what shall I display? So that all things are like not giving us that flexibility till now, the knowledge that we have. But in this video, we will understand how we can make a default argument in a function. Let's say my name is Vijay and somebody asked me to enter the argument for the welcome function. So I will enter Vijay and that will pass on. But if I do not enter anything, also the option is given that by default the function will take guest for whomsoever is not uh, giving their values. Okay, so for me it will display the function output as welcome Vijay, and for someone who is not giving the argument, they will get the output as welcome guest. So that is kind of a flexibility that we are getting with the default argument. That's the one thing that we are going to learn. Other thing that we are going to learn is keyword argument. Let's say I am creating a function with price and quantity. So both are integer kind of value. Although price is a float, but let's say uh, both are integer kind of value. Let's say I am at the cafe ordering a coffee, 100 coffees. That seems a big, but let's say I'm ordering 100 coffees with a price of 100. So in bracket of the function argument, I am passing generate bill, comma 100, comma 100. So what is the price? What is the quantity? I'm not sure. So by keyword, we will be specifically defining that this value is for quantity, this value is for price. That also we are going to see in this video. Then the third one, variable length. As I told you, like we can have one order, we can have 3 orders, we can have 10 orders. We are not going to create functions for each of them. The flexibility in the programming is very important, that whatever we are writing, that should be useful in almost every scenario. It should be reused. It's not that we have to recreate everything for different scenarios. So variable length with the help of dot and what we say asterisk args method, that we are going to look in today. Okay, so let's jump to our blackboard first and we will go one by one. So first thing, we have function, and under that we are going to go for default arguments. Okay, then we will have keyword arguments. Okay, just a second. Sorry guys, I didn't switch the screen. Okay, I guess now the blackboard should be visible. So under the function, we have default argument. Then under the uh, keyword function, we have keyword argument, and something also we have is variable arguments. This is a broader division. Okay, variable arguments. Okay, so under the default, if I have to specifically give, that will be user default values. And guys, if you don't understand as of now, don't worry, we will be looking the implementation. The output will give you a better clarity, so just follow and you will understand in a moment. Okay, passing values by name. Okay, here we are providing a default value. Here in the keyword arguments we are passing the value with the name, and here we can, with the args, we can have a multiple values, and the length flexibility it will give us. Okay. Okay, so let me write the syntax also, although we will be seeing in the VS Code, but just a glimpse first. We move to the VS Code. Okay, so let's say I'm writing a function greet, and here if the default value is not given, so it will give an error whenever, let's say here, if I am expecting that name should be given by the user, and user does not want to reveal the name, they want to keep it anonymous only, so in that case we can have a guest. Okay, and that will allow to have print, and let's say we just print the name here as of now. So what it will do, if we pass the name, it will replace it. If we don't, then it will use guest by default. So this is the default argument. Okay, so this is an example of default argument. Now the keyword argument, if I have to take, just allow me a second. Okay, so now what will be for, oops, I guess I made some mistake in copy pasting. Okay, now it's fine, and let's say now we will see an example of keyword argument. Okay, so while calling the function, let's say if I am calling, we saw that we can call the function with this syntax. Okay, but instead of this, if I write greet name equal to Vijay, so if there are multiple values that we are passing, so this keyword will give us an clarity that we are passing specifically Vijay for the variable name. Okay, so this is keyword, and we will have variable argument also. What is variable argument? Here, let's say if I want to define, let's say I'm passing numbers, but I'm not sure how many numbers I will pass. So what I can do, I can pass it with asterisk args, and this args is not a hard code keyword for the Python. You can use your name, anything you can use, but asterisk mark is important, and generally the best coding practice, all the developers use args to make this a standard thing in the coding. Okay, but it is not something that is a syntax rule. Okay, then if I have to print, I can print all the numbers. Okay, so this is how the difference. As of now, I'm just explaining that syntax wise what each of the things looks. Now we will jump to our VS Code. Okay, okay, so we are now jumping to the VS Code, and let's say I am starting with the first one is the welcome message that we wrote. Okay, mm, we can have a default value name equal to guest that we saw in the example. So in case user does not provide, this will act like a fallback value. So if user does not provide, use this one, default value guest. Okay, that's why the name is also the default argument. And what we will do, we will print a welcome, and then whatever the name is. If name is provided, print that. If not, then print simply the guest. Okay, welcome. Let's say I'm providing Vijay in first call, and in second call I am keeping it blank. So we will see both of them. Okay, select the kernel. Let me just check once. Did I select the correct kernel? Yes. Okay. The kernel is correct. Okay. Here you can see the welcome Vijay and welcome guest. So the output is correctly passed on and we are able to print the output. Here you can see welcome Vijay is printed because we are passing Vijay, then the name is replaced by Vijay. And then whenever we are not passing anything, the guest is taken as the value of the name variable. Okay. Now keyword, we will use a example. Let's say we are storing the name and the city of a customer. Okay. So name, we are storing as name, and print f string city, we are storing as city. Okay. And what else we can do? We can now call the function customer. For the keyword argument, what we can do, we can have name equal to Vijay. Here you can see I'm defining. Here when we were passing, we were not defining which variable which value is. Although it takes by position, but let's say you want to pass the city first. In this scenario, let's say I want to pass the city first. So in that, the definition keyword argument will help us. Let's say I am passing at Jaipur. Okay, a very beautiful city, and we will start to call the function now. Okay, and if I run, see here, even though I passed Jaipur first, it got that value in the correct variable, stored in the correct variable. Okay, and then it printed the city as Jaipur. Let's say if I don't use this one, just to show you an example, if I don't use the keyword one and pass the Jaipur first, so it will take my name as Jaipur and city as Vijay. Okay, so Python generally follows the position, but in case if you want to pass a correct way with more understanding, this will help you. Okay, here you can see name Jaipur and city is Vijay. So this is incorrect. I am just mentioning it here. Incorrect sequence. Okay. So this is useful keyword argument whenever you want to pass the values with more clarity, that absolutely correct variable should get the value whatever you are passing. Okay. Now positional argument. What is the positional argument? Let's say def add a comma b. Okay, print a, or why we do that, printing, yeah, we can do printing also, we can return also. Okay, and add 10 comma 20. Okay, so here what I want to show you is, let me write this, positional arguments, this one, and this is keyword arguments. Okay, and the first one was default arguments. Just to clarify, this is the different types of argument or methods through which we are passing the values. Okay, now 10 comma 20 in this position does not matter, as we are doing addition. Whatever I will do, if I pass 10 as a, or let's say if I reverse this, the output won't get impacted. Okay, let's say I'm reversing the a and b values, the output will always remain same. Okay, 30 30, you can see there is no change in the output. But the example we saw previously, the name and that, what we say, city, here the positions are important. So remember, Python always, whenever you are passing any value to the function, it always takes in the position in which you are passing the value. If you are passing the first value in this function, it will be considered as A, and the second will be considered as B. Okay, so the order matters actually. Now let's say we want to have a variable length. Okay, variable arguments. Okay, so how we can do that? Let's say talking about our code cafe example only. There is a customer who orders two items, coffee and pizza. Other customer orders four items, coffee, burger, pizza, and pasta. There is other customer who orders only coffee. So the amount or the length that we will be passing is not fixed. The arguments that we are passing, the number of variables, that is not fixed. Sometimes we are passing one value, sometimes we are passing five values. So to resolve this kind of scenarios, Python has a very smooth or effective way, that is Args method. And if I tell you asterisk, and let's say I can write Args, but just to give you a demonstration, we write orders. Okay, and we print orders. Okay, and what we will do, we will have items, as we will pass pizza. Let's say one customer only ordered pizza, the other customer was a little bit hungry, so they ordered pizza, and they ordered burger also. And third customer, they were in a big group, so they ordered three items along with, let me copy this one, along with this they also ordered coffee. Okay, so for all three, if you see, one value is printed, two values, three values, we do not have to create the function again and again for the different length of the arguments that are being passed. We have one function that is capable enough to handle whatever the length of values you will be sending. If you are sending 1,000 values also, it will be practically able to capture that and process that, because here the asterisk gives us the power that whatever number of values user want to pass, let it pass. We are not dependent on that one. Let's say if I remove this asterisk and if I try to pass this one, you can see after the first item, whenever I am passing one value, it is working fine, but with two it is giving me error. Let's say I am keeping as order 1 and order 2. Okay, I'm creating a function for two values. So in first itself, whenever I'm only passing one value, it will fail, mentioning that it is missing one argument. So the length is very important. If we don't put a asterisk, Python will be expecting a fixed length, but to make it flexible or dynamic, we are using the asterisk mark. Okay, and we can also loop through this asterisk. Let me show you an example also for that one, and this is widely used whenever we are using function. This is in production level, it is very widely used, because what happens in production, we are not sure that how many values user will be passing, so we are keeping that a flexible thing. Okay, menu, and let's say I am keeping it as a food, and for item in food, and what I can do, let me keep it plural, the general coding practice. Okay, print item. What I am doing, I'm iterating, I am looping one by one all the values. Okay, and let's say the menu, I am, this is the list that will be there for the today's menu. Let's say pizza, burger, and what else we can have, we can have pasta, we can also have dosa that we didn't have since last few videos, so I will keep that also. Okay, so let's try that now. You can see it is iterating one by one, like we were able to do in the loops. That also, with the help of asterisk, it becomes iterable, so it allows that you can use the element one by one wherever according to your requirement you can use it. Okay, so that is the thing. So enough of the examples, I think. Now we can move on to our, what we say, mini project. Mini project we will have, and what we can develop for code cafe today is a smart multi order. We developed a smart billing system in the last video, but in this video we can keep a little bit multi-order system, because now we have the knowledge of args, okay, asterisk, and taking the flexible amount of length arguments in the function. That knowledge we have. So what we will be doing, we will be accepting the customer name, the items, whatever the customer is requesting, and we will display all the ordered item and the total of the number of items that we will display. Okay, and what we will do, we will also have a default greeting message that we already saw in the beginning, but we will be integrating that also, so that our knowledge around the default argument also is completed with this mini project. Okay, so let's create a default welcome message itself. Default define welcome, and then what we will do, we will have the customer. By default we are keeping customer name as guest only. So if any customer does not want to reveal the name, that's perfectly fine. We can simply run the welcome message and they will greet as, let's say, what we can say, we can have a welcome, and we can have the customer, okay, to the code cafe. Okay, so this will be our, and yes, our favorite coffee symbol. Yeah, that emoji we have done. Now next, what we will be doing, we will be creating a function for the order, taking the order, multiple items, and this we are going to keep flexible. If customer wants one item, fine. If customer wants five items, fine. Whatever the requirement of the customer is, they can pass on that number of values, and that will be processed accordingly with the help of args. Okay, so we will be take order function, and we can have the items. What we are trying to do, we are trying to print that. Print, why it is not completing? Is there any error? Just let me check. I don't think so. Let me type it. Okay, print slash n, and we will have ordered items. Oops. Okay, now what we will do, we will have a total. Remember, we also are going to calculate the total number of items. So we will have the total, and now we will iterate through each of the item. So for item in items, a simple for loop like we have already studied in the for loop video, and then we will have it print, and how we can print it. Let's say I'm keeping a symbol of a food item. Yeah, this one seems good, and then we can print it the item. Okay, also total, we will be incrementing the value by 1, so that the item total number of items we will get that. Okay, and now we will print, this thing is done, total is added, and the, okay, I guess now we can print the total number of items. Total items that can be fetched from the total variable. Okay, so we took the order items we took, and that will be flexible number of items because we are using the asterisk args, and then we are going to iterate through each of the item and printing that item, incrementing the total by 1, and finally we are displaying the total number of items. Okay, and then what we can do, the function is now ready, I guess, and we need to just take the customer name. Customer is equal to input, enter, customer name. Okay, and then what we will do, we will take the order now. Or before taking the order, actually we can also have a welcome message, and we can pass the customer. So if customer enters the input, that's fine. If they do not, then by default it will print a welcome guest message. Okay, and what we can do now, we will be taking the items from the customer. Take items, or take order, actually not items, take order, and we need to pass the number of items. Let's say pizza, and this you can take from user also. I'm keeping it hard coded as of now, and this can be taken from the user one by one input, and then having that in a list, appending in a list, and then passing that list itself. That all can be done, but just to keep the project limited to this particular concept of arguments, I'm not going much depth. Definitely whenever we are doing mini projects, at the end of few concepts, we will be implementing this kind of flexibility taking from the user, but as of now the focus more is on the particular argument section. Okay, then we will have coffee. What else we will be having? uh, let's add french fries. We haven't added any new item in the menu since we started this series. Okay, french fries, and what else? mm, okay, I guess we can have a pasta also, as usual. Proper fast food menu we have prepared. Then we will be doing that. The function will print the value, and at final a thank you message. Okay, so we will print slash n thank you for the visit. Okay, the flow looks good. Let's execute this one. I'm not sure if there is any issue with the kernel. Let me restart the kernel. Okay, now, okay, you can see it is asking for the customer name, Vijay, and it printed all the items one by one. Definitely, I can take this item if I add up any item also. Let's say I am adding uh, milkshake, I am adding. Okay, so if I add the item also, the function won't be requiring any additional changes. The function can remain as it is, even if the user changes the number of value or reduces the number of value. I can see one mistake here. The total that we are printing, we are not having the f string, so it is not able to print the values also. So let's say Vijay, here if I enter, the total item is 6. If I remove any item and then try to run, total items are 5. Okay guys, so this is the reason I always tell you, please code along. Do not just watch the videos, because when you code, you will get this type of error and you will develop your debugging skills. This will definitely help you whenever you are writing the code in the production also. This will help you to identify the mistake within a fraction of seconds, because you have gone through all of the small errors, like this f string mistake. Whenever I write code, I make that mistake. It's not that the mistakes won't be done, but I am able to identify very frequently, because I know I am keep on practicing this coding and everything. So I would suggest you also do like coding, and never just watch the video. Learn it by performing, not just watching the videos. Okay, so till now, what we have done, we understood the different types of argument, and whatever like default argument is, positional argument, keyword argument. Then we saw how we can make the variable length arguments, all of that we saw. And we also build a small multi-order billing system. Okay, till now we have understood this thing, but let me come back to the. Okay, so till now we are passing the argument, but let's say I have to pass a dictionary for the function. How I can do that? For an example, let's say I want to pass a name value pair, key value pair, sorry, not name, key value pair, with name, and then along with the key name, I also want to pass the value of Vijay or city, and along with that, I want to pass a value Ahmedabad. In that way, I want to pass a dictionary kind of arguments. How I can do that? That we will be learning in the upcoming video. Also, with the flexibility, like with the args method we will also have EW args that we will be looking in the upcoming videos. And I hope you are liking this series. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we will meet you in the next video. Until then, happy coding.